Happy Monday! So today we're talking about a hot topic. All right. It's AI content on LinkedIn. So as AI posts have become more popular, we're actually seeing a bit of a shift in how people interact on LinkedIn. You may have also noticed some very robotic sounding comments on your post. Yeah, it's not human. All right. We don't talk like that. But before we jump in, how was your weekend? So I just finished reading an excellent book called Meditations for Mortals by Oliver Berkman. So if you've ever been caught up in, I would call it almost the cult of productivity, or this urge that you have to achieve groundbreaking feats or your life is meaningless, this book is a really refreshing read. It kind of is very grounding and kind of brings you back to reality and the present moment and not getting sucked into the future or sucked into the past. I also really liked his earlier book called 4,000 Weeks. For those of you who don't like a little bit of morbidity or thinking about your death, it may not be the book for you. But I found it really refreshing because it's a deeper dive into the psychology of time management and being happy as a human in today's world. So couple book recommendations from me. Oliver Berkman, I really like his work. Okay, so now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. Do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure just to like this post, whether you're watching live from the replay. Leave your questions below. A lot of the topics we talk about come from prior questions, whether I'm talking about them with my clients, other people in the space, people that are watching these videos and reaching out to me in the DMs. So I really like to hear from you because that helps me figure out what you want to hear more about or what you want me to deep dive into or rant about. I'm game. I'm game. All right. So today we're talking about how AI can actually be helpful. All right. So I'm not going to totally say AI is terrible, but if we rely on it too much, we do risk losing real connections. So real engagement on LinkedIn actually thrives when we're being ourselves. And today we're going to talk about how to blend AI and genuine engagement so you can use the tools without losing your humanity in the process, right? So AI generated content is really growing on LinkedIn. We've all seen it, all right? It's impacting how we connect, how we engage, how we build authentic relationships or don't. And from declines in genuine engagement to how dwell time on posts is shifting, we're actually seeing data that is giving us a clearer picture of what is working and what's not when AI meets LinkedIn. So if you're trying to just stand out, understanding how to blend the two with a smart use of AI is really key because if you don't, you are going to be left behind. So you're at some point you are likely going to use AI in some way, shape, or form on LinkedIn. So the statistics we're going to talk about today actually come from Richard Vanderblom's Algorithm Insights, the October update. So it's an essential look, I think, at what's driving LinkedIn engagement in 2024. We have talked about his work in last week's episode. If you caught that one where we talked about content and what content types are performing really well on LinkedIn right now. If you're curious about the detailed numbers, I covered more about that last week. But today we're going to really kind of zero in on the stats through the lens of AI and engagement from that report, and also kind of what I'm seeing as well. Just I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so I see a lot of posts. I write a lot of posts. So let's talk about why this really matters. All right, AI tools, they can be awesome. I'll admit it. I like AI tools. I was really hesitant at first, but I like them. They're great for speeding up content generation, creating ideas. Like if you're really stuck and you hate blank pages, AI can be really helpful to get you unstuck. It can also help you organize your post if you're trying to create like a social media campaign, or maybe you want to talk about certain types of topics in a specific order or a series of posts. AI can be great for those types of things. But here's the catch. If we lean too heavily on AI, we actually do risk losing our own voice. And our voice is really important when it comes to connecting with other people. And I feel like the personal touch is what makes LinkedIn LinkedIn. All right. That's why we come here, because we want to connect with other humans, not because we want to see crafted posts that are beautifully formatted and using all of the AI generated keywords. All right. So at least that's what I'm coming here for. You may be different. I want to interact with real humans, not just polished robotic responses or posts that feel like they could have come from anyone. So the power of LinkedIn has always, always, always been in the relationships we build. You can disagree with me, that's fine. All right. AI doesn't have that instinctive understanding of nuance. It doesn't have empathy. It can try to mimic it, but it's not real empathy. It doesn't really think like a human. It also doesn't have like the humor that, when just being human, you can interject into things that makes connection stick. I feel like, nuance, empathy, humor, all of this stuff is what makes our posts actually good, or our content good. The same reason, like, you're watching a video right now, you're watching me talk about this, when you could read the actual written version of this and just scan it for the highlights, which is fine too. You're looking for connection. All right. So that's why I really like video, because you can't just AI generate that right now. Eventually, we'll be talking about that in a future post, but not yet. So it's all about keeping that authenticity alive while using AI as a helpful sidekick. So that's how I view it. It's like, okay, you're like my little writing buddy. Like, I need to brainstorm some ideas, but they're not the main show. Okay. So think of it this way. AI is like helping you get the bones of a post together, like the structure, the framework, but it's really your voice and your perspective that bring it to life. So I'm going to talk about some easy ways to kind of blend AI driven content with genuine engagement, so you're not sacrificing connection for convenience. I'll also talk a little bit about how I'm using AI, what I'm hearing from my colleagues and how they're using AI, because we do want to use the tool, but we want to do it in a way that still feels authentic. I have really had personal struggle with AI ever since it kind of really flooded the marketing space. And I just didn't want to use it. I was very resistant. So I get it. If you're struggling with that just from an ethical standpoint, from a am I cheating perspective, we're going to get into a little bit of that today. So we want people to engage because they feel seen, because they feel heard, and not because a chatbot just liked their comment or sent them some generic message. So we're going to get into using AI to support your LinkedIn strategy without losing that all important human touch. Okay. So for those of you who are like, who are you? Who are you? My name is Mindi Ramsey. You probably could tell that. I have an online program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and network. This is not an online course per se. This is a small group program that I teach within the span of a week. And we get together and talk about LinkedIn. We work on our profiles. We get our LinkedIn strategy together, and boom, you're done. LinkedIn doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't take more than a week to get you going on LinkedIn and get the basics down. I'm really excited about the next cohort. I'm looking at early 2025, so stay tuned. If you're curious about that, or just shoot me a DM, I'll keep you in the loop. I really focus on helping leaders who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to really become one of the go-to visible experts in their niche, so they can either get new business, network better, and land their next opportunity. So really using LinkedIn from an authentic connection standpoint. All right, so is AI being overused on LinkedIn? Ask yourself the question. I think it is, but I think it's also the nature of the beast. Okay, we are here, we are looking at our news feeds. Yeah, AI is there. All right, so can you spot the AI heavy posts? Okay, I can. I think most of us can by this point, unless you just really don't look at your feed. We all know that AI is being overused, especially when it comes to keeping engagement authentic. I have seen the AI generated posts like flood LinkedIn. Like, wow, okay, you guys are posting like these really long posts. Like, if I was actually writing that post and posting one of those every day and then creating like the accompanying PDFs, that would take me at least 2 hours. So I highly doubt that most of these people doing this are spending 2 hours of their day writing posts and creating this all themselves. Okay, they're getting help, whether they have a VA assisted, AI. They're using all the tools. Okay, it's part of what they're doing and how they do it and how they can keep up that type of consistency. So we've all seen it. And according to Richard Vanderblom's report, it's up a whopping 180% over where it was last year. at this time. Okay. So there's this notable disconnect happening too. I've noticed that as well. But I also can see that people are still engaging. So these posts are not getting no engagement. I think the authors are relying on people hopping into the comments. Like, hopefully it's insightful enough to get people to engage. And then they're hopefully engaging with people in the comments. Some of them do a better job of that than others. But people can sense when a post or a comment doesn't quite have that human spark, or you're reading the story and you're like, did this really happen? Because this sounds like too much of a fairy tale, too much of a perfect ending, so we're less inclined, or we're a little bit hesitant. We want to know if this is real, if this is really coming from the person sharing this. So AI can make life easier, sure, but too much of it starts to chip away at that personal touch we're looking for on LinkedIn. We want to feel connected to the author in some way, shape, or form. We don't want to feel like, okay, great, I just liked their post, it was kind of good. Was it them? I don't know. Like, there's this hesitancy, like in the back of our minds, we're like questioning all the posts and content we see right now. So there's this also the AI commenting trend, which has jumped by 340%. So that's, for those of you who are not math people, that's almost 3.5 times what it was last year. So rather than encouraging these deeper conversations, which is what the comments are supposed to do, a lot of these auto-generated comments feel, well, flat. I mean, they feel like a robot. You're like, great post, or I really look forward to this one. I got one, I think below where this live stream is, when I posted the event, I got one, and it's like, did you really write that? It sure does not sound like you did. So LinkedIn's algorithm is really smart. It knows when people aren't fully engaging, and it will adjust accordingly. So people who feel like they're getting away with this right now are not going to be able to get away with it forever. LinkedIn really, really despises automation and tools hooking up to your account. All right, so if you are doing this, you are going to get slapped by LinkedIn at some point. So it's just a matter of time. You're also going to risk getting locked out of your LinkedIn account if you're hooking up tools to your profile. I saw this recently from one of my colleagues, and he tends to put out pretty good content. He's like, hey, I'm actually paying for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a pricey subscription. I don't have that level of LinkedIn Premium. He got locked out of his account, and he shared a screenshot of the tools that were hooked up to his LinkedIn account. I'm like, oh, well, it's that one. And he's like, I can't figure out which tool is doing this. I'm like, LinkedIn doesn't like tools hooking up to your personal LinkedIn account. Okay. So there are a lot of tools out there. There are a lot of gurus who will tell you the tools are safe because they're not doing these automated things, but they often will trigger LinkedIn to not like your account. Now, I'm not saying the same thing if you are using LinkedIn tools hooked up to like a page. LinkedIn expects that. You're not going to have trouble. It's when you're hooking it up to your personal profile and trying to schedule through these tools. So please just be aware, be cautious. Especially if you don't have a paid account, you will have to reach out to LinkedIn. Okay. So the lesson here is thoughtful human comments are way more powerful than the quick AI generated replies or trying to hack it by using a tool if you're trying to get real engagement. Now, if you're trying to go for mass audience and you're like, hey, Mindy, I'm just going to use it for a little while. I don't really care. I don't care if it damages my personal brand. I don't care if people think it's automated. It's worth the risk to me. Okay, you probably aren't watching this because you don't really care. So let's talk about dwell time. LinkedIn's measure of how long people actually stick with your post. Dwell time has also been declining for a few years now, and AI-driven content, it doesn't help. Right? We scan it. The AI posts or the long form posts, which are popular right now with, the image and the graphic. Okay, I've experimented a bit with them, but they also kind of feel a little bit robotic and overly polished, and they just don't hold attention. We're going to scan them real quick and we're going to move on. All right, so it's not the same as like real personal insights. Watching a video, I think of a real human talking about something, a real story, not just I'm monetizing this story because it's either tapping into your feel sorry for me emotions, or I'm so awesome, or I come from a hard backstory and now I'm going to sell you something. Okay, we're over that now. All right. So real stories with personal insights. That's what we want to hear. We want you to be real. So while AI can help streamline content, overusing it is really what's going to lead to those quicker scrolls. People are just going to scroll through it real fast, and also lower reach. So you're not going to get the reach because people aren't really engaging with you. It's also allowing more people who would not pump out that volume of posts a year or two ago to brag about, I post every weekday, or the people who post more than once on LinkedIn on weekdays. I'm like, holy moly, okay, this is too much. It's too much. So it's not a good thing. You're cluttering up the feed, Save your insights. Nobody can say super insightful things 3 times a day for infinity and beyond on LinkedIn. You just can't. All right. So I don't think this is a good thing. Not if it's like garbage in, garbage out. Not good. And for those of you with true expertise, if you are posting that frequently on LinkedIn, your potential clients are going to think you have nothing better to do and that you're trying to drum up business. So you are actually shooting yourself in the foot. You think you're going to be more present and people are going to want to work with you, but they're going to look at you and think, oh, you're just a marketing machine for yourself. You probably already have a lot of business and you have a lot of time on your hands. So you're either desperate for work or you have too many clients. You're not in that sweet spot. So really think about that. All right. Going on some tangents today. All right. So AI assisted versus AI generated content. There's a difference. So when it comes to finding that sweet spot between AI assisted and fully AI generated content, it's really about using the tools to support your message without letting them like overshadow your voice. All right. So AI can be an incredible resource. Like I said earlier, for brainstorming, organizing your ideas, suggesting a few phrases to get you started. But at the end of the day, your audience is looking for you, or they should be. They should be looking for you. So, what are your insights? What are your experiences? What is your unique perspective? If we let AI do all the talking, we actually run the risk of sounding like every other automated post out there, or we sound like a Google search. Perplexity is very popular, but yeah, it just kind of pulls together Google searches. You can use it in really creative ways, and I have done that. I have put myself and my content through Perplexity and said, what is Mindi Rosser's, because that's my former name, perspective on LinkedIn when it comes to connections? And it's really interesting what it kind of compiles and spits back out at you. So really think about how you're using the tools. They're great, but then if you want to change perspectives and you really want to help people with your unique expertise, because if you consider yourself an expert, you do have unique expertise, or you should. And so that's what we want to hear, not what everyone else is saying, not what you can pull from a Google search. All right, so one key best practice here. You want to use AI, but you're like, I want my unique experience. Just blend it. You're going to blend it with the human touch. So again, AI is like your assistant. It's not the main show. So for example, use AI to help you structure a post, especially if you're not great at content or copywriting. This can be super helpful because for those of you who have expertise, but you're not a copywriter, AI can really help you kind of format post, or you can kind of see what the typical structure is and then play with it a little bit and make sure you inject your insights. So you could polish up a few lines, but really make sure that the final content sounds like something you'd actually say. So go back through and go, "Ugh, I wouldn't use that word like, this is a game-changing way to achieve success." Okay, that's definitely AI generated. So make it sound like you. Like, how would you say this to a client? How would you talk about this to a colleague? How would you talk about this to the marketing director? You're in a team meeting. How would you actually explain this? That's what we want to hear, because that's where your expertise actually comes through. So remember, LinkedIn is about building connections. It's not about a content factory. And genuine interactions, they win out every single time. Long term, not short term, long term, over a polished automated response. Okay. LinkedIn is about connections. It's about the people who are here. And if you want it to work for you long term, not just be a flash in the pan and gone tomorrow, you have to invest in the people here and engaging with people here. So engagement. Okay, let's talk about engagement. This is where the human factor really shines. So AI can actually help you with possibly, I don't really like it that much for crafting any like initial messages. I guess you could use it in that sense. I still feel like I 100% write my initial messages or connection requests just for my own voice, because I feel like if I send what everybody else is sending, it's going to sound automated. And I don't really like the structure in how AI spits out like cold outreach messages. It's just still pretty icky. All right. So maybe it'll help you with cold outreach if you've never done it before. Otherwise, I would talk with somebody who's an expert at this and who can do it in a way. If you've ever received a great connection invitation from someone you didn't know really well, pay attention to what they did and why it made you feel good and imitate them. That's probably the best way to learn how to do this, or talk to somebody who that's what they do. All right. Nothing beats a thoughtful reply to someone's comment. Nothing beats a really thought out connection invitation or a message if they have open profile and let you open message them. That can be really, really helpful, but just please don't send them garbage. Make sure there's a reason that you're reaching out to connect with them and engage with them. All right, so set aside time to actually engage with your connections. All right, even if it's 5 minutes a week, you're like, okay, I'm going to scroll through my newsfeed. I'm going to look through my DMs. Are there any unread messages I haven't responded to? Oh, so-and-so just popped into my mind this week. I'm going to reach out to them. It does not have to be this massive effort where you're like, I'm going to do 100 sales touches this week and I'm going to reach out to 100 connections. That's not sustainable. So what you want to do is when it pops in your brain, like, oh, I should reach out to so-and-so and just check in and see how they're doing. I should look and see if they've posted any content recently. Oh, I haven't heard from them. I wonder if they're still doing what they're doing. When these little things pop in your head, if you're out running an errand and you have your phone and you have LinkedIn on your phone, you can just like quickly check up on them, check in on them. Even just looking at their profile, a lot of times that can be seen on the other end if the person has a premium account. These are all little touches that you can do to show that you're paying attention. Really important to do this though. If your DMs are not very active, that's a problem. All right. When your DMs get too quiet, when you're like, oh, I've got DMs I got to respond to, that's the sign that you need to kind of start reaching out and talking to people. Okay. And if you're posting video, like you can tell I like long form video. No, it's not the trendy thing. If I wanted to do the trendy thing, I'd be posting Reels, TikToks, the short form videos and trying to catch the algorithm. But you know what? That is not the content that I enjoy. I want thoughtful, well thought out stuff. And yes, I may take these live streams and chop them up into things down the road, but that content just doesn't resonate with me. I want to see people who have put in a lot of thought and prepare about one topic. So that's the type of content I create. No, it's not going to be the most popular. No, it's not what plays with the algorithm. But I feel like this is what actually builds that trust with my people and the relationships. And it also shows that I can speak. So if people want to work with me to do a LinkedIn workshop, I can speak on camera and feel very comfortable doing that. And those are the types of engagements that I actually enjoy. So kind of think about your content and also the type of medium that you want to use. And AI can be helpful. I use AI to help me create my structure, especially my structure for these live streams based on live streams and structures that I liked before. So it can be very helpful, but you still want it to be you. And that's why I love video right now. All right. So with LinkedIn, for those of you who like video, and especially those of you who like the short form videos, and you're like, Mindy, I don't care. I want to do the short form. Great. LinkedIn actually has a mobile video feed, and quick mobile friendly clips are performing really well, especially from personal profiles. I'm not seeing that same uptick in engagement from the company pages posting these videos. A short video with the human touch. So not all that B-roll that looks so classy. Don't use the B-roll, just be yourself. It can grab attention and boost engagement in a way that the AI generated stuff really can't replicate. So if you want to stand out and you want to choose a form of content where you're like, I want people to know that I'm actually creating this content, video is really going to be helpful. Long form, short form, whatever works for you. Okay. All right. So let's talk about 6 ways to hold on to our humanity, but also adapt to the AI era. Okay, so here's the deal. AI on LinkedIn, it's not all good or bad. We've kind of talked about that already. It's about finding that sweet spot where AI helps make things easier for you without losing the genuine human connection that LinkedIn is all about. So I'm testing these ideas out myself. I am not an AI expert. I use AI tools. So if you want an AI expert, go to somebody else. But here's what I'm seeing as kind of just an everyday marketing human who uses AI. And let's talk about how we can embrace AI without it taking over. So what is that sweet spot? How do we do this? First of all, stay curious and keep learning. Don't just shut down. Like when you hear AI go, oh, no, 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 that's not affecting me. That's not going to help you long term. You have to start using it. It's like when the internet came along, we had to all start using Google and searches. And yes, it felt very scary for a lot of us. And guess what? We all survived that. I mean, I was very young at that point. My parents tell me about that. So AI is moving really fast, and keeping up with it means experimenting, staying open-minded. You don't have to be on the cutting edge though, so don't worry about that. I'm constantly trying out new tools and seeing what works, but I'm also watching to see what doesn't quite fit. So staying curious and flexible is key, just like those early internet days when everyone was kind of figuring things out on the fly. We're all in this together. AI isn't going anywhere. We're going to keep using it. There are so many like tech startups right now that are focused on AI. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. So you don't have to get obsessed with it, but just know it's there. It's a tool. You can try it. It won't kill you. All right. So number 2, blend AI with the human touch. We've already talked about this. I'm like hammering this home, a little bit of repetition. So rather than having AI do everything, again, see it like that extra set of hands. AI can spot trends. It can give you content ideas. It can analyze what's getting engagement, but adding that human spin is what makes it real. All right. So again, use it kind of as like the intro to whatever content you're creating if you're approaching this from a content mindset. And then you need to come in with your human expertise and go, oh, that wasn't right. Like I've asked it to analyze data and you're like, that's not what the report says. It's like in black and white and it totally did it wrong. So don't just trust whatever it spits out. If you don't want to go through the chunky data, 100-page report, don't expect AI to give you a complete accurate, synopsis of that report. Please double check it. It definitely has some flaws. All right, so think of it like a partnership. AI can handle certain aspects, but you have to bring your personality and your expertise. It's just like using SEO or social media tools. We use them, right? At first, everyone was scared to use them. And now it's like, oh, okay, SEO is a thing. Social media tools are a thing. They're helpful, but it's really the human part that makes it resonate with people. That's what makes it good marketing, or that's what makes it good thought leadership. All right, so number 3, stay real about how we're using AI. Let's be honest about where AI fits into our content. So if I'm using AI to brainstorm or streamline things, like I said, I do, by the way, and I don't tell clients otherwise, that would feel disingenuous. It's not like I need to say, hey, I use AI for this. What do you think? It's not like you're broadcasting it. Clients are smart and savvy. They can tell when you're using it. So just be upfront and don't claim that you're not using AI if you are, because that's disingenuous. Like it's okay. In the marketing space, we're all using AI to an extent, but we have to bring our expertise to it. And that's, if you're working with clients, that's what the clients are looking for, that expertise. If you're using AI to help you and you can do a better job because of that, they're going to be like all for that. Okay. So people want transparency, especially on LinkedIn. And trust matters. Trust matters a lot. So I'm all for using AI, but the goal is to stay genuine. So no one wants like a feed or posts that are overly polished or disconnected. They need to still sound like the brand or the person posting them. All right, number 4, learn enough to play around with AI. So you don't have to be a tech wizard to benefit from AI. But having some basic understanding helps. Again, don't be like the ostrich putting your head in the sand. Like, I don't want to know. You still have to know a little bit. So knowing what AI is capable of and where it falls short means that you can experiment with a little bit of confidence, but don't expect AI to do everything for you. As a business owner, I use it for some things and some things is completely useless. So I'm kind of figuring things out as I go. I'm learning the ropes and it's fun. It's eye-opening. It's like, oh, can AI do this? Or can it help me do this or not? And some things, again, it can help you, but it's not the end all be all. Number 5, also find out what works for your niche. All right. So everybody's niche is different depending on where your expertise lies. AI is not a one size fits all solution. I've really seen some cool uses in different industries. I do like following some of the cutting edge people and seeing what they're doing with it. It's also about finding unique ways that add value to what you're already doing. So if it can make you just a little bit more creative or efficient or help you brainstorm some ideas or provide alternatives, great. Use them. If you're in marketing, maybe it's helping you analyze, some really heavy campaign data. If you're in tech, AI could help with research or help you with project insights. So for me, it's really about picking the tools that make sense, testing them in real time. Yeah, it takes a little bit of extra time to do this versus doing it how I've always done it, but I'm learning things and that's what makes it fun. So have some fun with AI. It's okay. I like using it to actually help me come up with social media campaigns like in timelines. So if we have an event coming up, I like to say, okay, I want some posts going out about a month before, and then 2 weeks before, and then the day before, the day of, like leading up to it. It really helps me just kind of figure out, oh, okay, here's a good timeline. A lot of times the posts it spits out are like, ugh, but I feel like it can be really helpful from that perspective. It's easier than staring at a blank calendar or just digging through what you've done in the past. It can give you a fresh perspective. So number 6, and finally, get ready for rapid change. AI is going to change a lot. So what we're talking about today is probably going to be like, oh, that was so 2024 in 12 months. So just like with LinkedIn's algorithm updates, AI is going to be evolving and we have to stay flexible. So I'm trying to keep an open mind and play around with what's new. I also realize some stuff is going to be a fad. It's going to go away. Other things are going to change a lot. So it's not about getting everything perfect or trying to be like the AI master and turn my entire marketing life upside down because of AI. But it's really about being willing to kind of pivot and change when something fresh comes along. The key is stay curious, keep testing, be ready to switch gears along the way. As professionals, this is necessary in today's environment. The way we've always done things is not going to be the way we will continue doing things, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. So as we dip our toes into the AI waters, like picture like dipping my foot in the ocean. Okay, remember it's a balance. AI can give us efficiency, it can give us insights, inspiration, but it's really us. It's our humanity, it's our human touch that keeps LinkedIn fun, it keeps it authentic, it keeps it engaging. Everybody's different. So how I feel about AI, what I'm doing may not work for you. You have to also kind of figure out where you fall in the spectrum and where you feel like it's ethical to use and where you're like, that's kind of a gray area for me. You have to decide that for yourself. All right. So really do the deep dive though. I feel like I've wrestled a lot with using AI in marketing, and that's okay. It's like kind of figure out where you fall on the spectrum. There is no right or wrong. There is in some ways. Some things are completely, don't plagiarize, but there's a lot of gray area right now. So be patient with yourself as you're learning. You're going to make mistakes. I've made some mistakes with AI and like what I've used it for and how I've used it and how I've interacted with the tech. And that's okay. Be honest about that. Regroup, figure it out. We will find what really works for us, but we do have to try things. We have to get out of our comfort zone just a little bit. So I'm curious, are you using AI at all in your content strategy? Like, is that like, Mindy, I would not touch AI. I want this to all be me. That's fine. That's totally cool. What works, what hasn't worked for you, any funny mistakes that you've come across. I would love to hear your thoughts about AI in the comments, or DM me if you don't want to share it publicly. Whether you feel optimistic about the future of AI or feel like it's completely screwing up our LinkedIn feeds, share. I want to hear it all. All right. So I would usually plug a lead magnet here of some sort, but I'm actually in the process of updating my website and resources. So if you want to hop on my list, just go to mindyramsey.com. You'll probably get a pop-up there because I'm changing up my email newsletter service. So you'll probably get a pop-up that asks you to join my newsletter. Otherwise, just scroll down on the page and there are several spots where you can just hop on my list if you want to get all the LinkedIn goodies in your inbox too. So I am really excited for next week's conversation as well. I'm not going to tease it yet, but I'm excited. It does have to do with more data. So until next time, keep those connections real and all those conversations meaningful. I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. Bye for now.